Superbet robbed. Suspects drove off with millions. PARFAIT Harmony residents decry poor road condition. Minister of Health urging healthcare workers to get vaccinated. In the region, security concerns hamper Haiti earthquake relief efforts. And internationally, Kabul bombing. We will hunt you down, Biden warns attackers. Greetings and welcome to another edition of Channel 2 Headline News Updates. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. Police are investigating an alleged armed robbery at a Superbet at Linden Hall on the east coast of the Demerara. 3 male customers and 1 female cashier. Odds were not in their favor as they were robbed by 2 individuals, one dressed in a Ghana Defense Force uniform. According to the police report, around 9 p.m. on Thursday, the 20-year-old cashier was about to close up the shop shutters when she noticed 2 individuals approaching the Superbet. Pointing a gun at the cashier, one of the suspects ordered her to open the door. The assailant seized $220,000 in cash from the cash register. The 3 males who were present were all commanded to lay on the floor and empty their pockets. 2 of the victims robbed were relieved of cash, jewelry, and cell phones valued at approximately $167,000. The 3rd victim, a taxi driver, was looted of his motor car, a white fielder wagon, valued in excess of $2.5 million, which the armed assailants used to flee the crime scene. Police investigations continues. 1 dead and 3 injured after AGM pickup suffers a tire blowout in Region 7. Esther Sobers has more.
The chief security investigator employed at Aurora Gold Mines died last evening after the vehicle he was in suffered a blowout and toppled. Dead is a retired member of the Ghana Police Force, 55-year-old Gordon Mansfield. According to reports by the mine's director and Corporate Office Compliance and Government Relations, Peter Benny, the pickup suffered the tire blowout and toppled around 1000 hours along Buck Hall Road, Region 7. 4 AGM employees were at the time heading to the company's Buck Hall facility from its mining operation located in Region 7 local. Shortly after the incident, the injured workers were picked up and rushed to the Buck Hall facility where they received medical attention from the on-site medical personnel working with the mining company. They were subsequently airlifted to the city by the Ghana Defense Force helicopter and taken to the Woodlands Hospital. However, Mansfield passed away while receiving treatment for the injury he had sustained. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. A 21-year-old man has been placed on bail for sexually assaulting a child under the age of 16. 21-year-old Arfan Shashuddin of Port Moran Berbice Quarantine appeared before Magistrate Renita Singh at the Wilm Magistrates Court and was not required to plead to the charge laid under Section 10(3) of the Sexual Offence Act, Chapter 803. He was placed on $120,000 bail and is to return to court on September 23, 2021. Don't go away after the break. Minister of Health urging healthcare workers to get vaccinated, and PARFAIT Harmony residents decry poor road infrastructure in the community.
At 4 p.m., the doors for Flavors Hotel, Restaurant and Bar will be opening. We are just opening our doors for the public. Being a new restaurant, new establishment, we want to get kitchens in place, the bar in place, the employees, the staff, the service, so that by the 28th, the grand opening, all systems are in place. There are no falters. Our bar is far beyond anywhere else. We've got lots of specialty drinks that I'm sure Guyana is going to appreciate. Our food is unsurpassed. We have a specialty menu with a certain type of steak, certain type of fish. It's unsurpassed. We bring professionalism to Guyana. You get the best entertainment 7 days a week. We have entertainment. I'm a stickler for jazz, Sunday jazz. I'm pushing jazz. I've got a couple of jazz bands that will be here every Sunday at 6. So please come by. Very creative person, creative in the kitchen. I'm actually a contractor that builds restaurants and bars. So I've kind of perfected the art in Atlanta and New York. And I decided to bring a bit of America to Guyana.
#1 hangout spot, Flavors Hotel Restaurant Bar.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brick Dam and White Castle Fish Shop, be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Go to school so that someday I can do something to make a difference.
I'm the first in my family to attend the university, and I won't be the last.
I want my daughter to be able to hold her head up high in this world as a proud, educated woman.
Education has changed my life by giving me the opportunity to make it better.
Welcome back. Today marks day 2 that unvaccinated healthcare workers were locked out of the public hospitals around the country. This is due to the Ministry of Health demanding that healthcare workers take the COVID-19 jab or present a negative PCR test weekly. Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, is urging the healthcare workers to get vaccinated.
Well, we are working with the capacity that we have. A number of persons have reported to work, but certainly we have healthcare workers who so far have not taken the vaccine, have not produced a PCR result, and they come and they demand to come to work. That is, a challenge, because if you have an unvaccinated healthcare worker, they're putting themselves at risk, because on a daily basis they're interacting with a number of persons from the public. You don't know the status of those persons, whether they're positive or not. And the only way that you can protect yourself from infection, apart from using PPEs, is to make sure that you're vaccinated. So the stand that some people have of not protecting themselves runs counter to all the medical education that one would have received during their years of study, and runs counter to the science. So I really would urge our healthcare workers who have not been vaccinated as yet to really closely examine the issue. This is not an emotive issue. This is one where your life can be at risk, and the only way that you can protect yourself is really to get vaccinated.
Minister Anthony said healthcare workers that do not take the necessary steps to be at work will not get paid.
I do hope that good sense prevail and that they would go and get vaccinated. And if they don't get vaccinated, then the option would be that you can present your PCR results and come to work. If you don't want to do any of those things, then you'll be marked as absent and you would not be paid. And that's our position.
While the workforce at the hospitals is now reduced, Dr. Anthony said the hospital is working with the capacity it presently has.
If people are not coming to work, then in some cases it might cause us to reduce some of the health services that we are currently offering. At the two major institutions where we are affected, that's in Linden and in Georgetown, though the administration of those two institutions have taken some consideration with maybe the diminished capacity of our staffing there, and they are taking certain measures in place to still have the services continue. We would be closely examining every day, every shift, what is happening, and we'll take those decisions as is necessary.
Dr. Anthony is calling for good sense to prevail among the healthcare workers.
I really would urge our healthcare workers to seriously consider the actions that they're taking, because not only are they putting themselves at risk by not taking the vaccine, they're also going to put the patients that they're supposed to be interacting with at risk. Because if they have a mild form of the infection, then unknowingly they can transmit that to patients. So this is something that we have to consider. I've seen a number of persons saying they don't have enough information. At these two institutions, before this mandate, or before this, these orders were made in the Gazette, we've had several educational sessions at these institutions where anyone who would like to ask any question pertaining to these vaccines, they could come to those sessions, ask those questions, answers were provided. There's absolutely no excuse that someone right now does not understand the types of vaccines that we have, how it works, if they have any queries about side effects and so forth. All of those questions were asked and answered, and people are aware of those answers.
Residents of the PARFAIT Harmony are requesting better road and lighting in the community. Esther Sobers has more on that story.
In road, I don't know if they're going to wait till somebody die with an accident, because I could remember a couple years back, a man died, he car flick over and land in the trench, and then the next day start do the road.
The main road that was built for the access to and from La PARFAIT Harmony, a community that was recently developed to house thousands of residents, has turned into a nightmare for many motorists. The $600 million road, which was currently filled with expanding potholes, has been deemed hazardous by many motorists.
I use this road, not regularly, but quite often, and it's really in a deteriorating state. It really needs to be done. Really needs to be done. As a pregnant person, it's not very healthy for me. Traversing it in and out, and even for the other persons who are living here and have to be doing this on a daily basis. It's really poor.
I riding through the potholes. My foot, I gotta lift my foot high above the bike to get to pass. It's terrible. Really need to do something on the road, man. It's terrible, really terrible in PARFAIT Harmony.
Motorists also express difficulties traversing the road at nights, as there are no street lights, and most of the times drivers are forced to drive in the other lane.
From good to worse, the road getting inside here. In the night it's very difficult, because on your lane, the other side lane got to be on your side lane to get the vehicle. That's why the accident happening all over too. You understand? Then inside my street, them rail board, CV, giants, all kind of thing, nobody care nothing. They just talking, they ain't doing nothing.
How long think there's something bad happen, like they don't pay attention to dairy. Even now into the streets them, up to this morning I went and find from breaking blocks, some of the black shop, to full up the holes in the street so I could meet to my house. So
The local council
I think they said it ain't over yet. So it's up to the government, but long now, since around May, June, they say they just do some big contract and signing for do all the roads and stuff for dairy, and it's supposed to start and it didn't start yet. We still waiting.
The road, which was commissioned in 2014, has undergone a series of rehabilitation work. In February of this year, the Ministry of Public Works deployed a team to do maintenance work on the said road. However, the road is again in a deplorable state with large potholes. Nonetheless, residents of PARFAIT Harmony continue to plead for accessible road and road lights. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. Yesterday, Linden Mayor received $2.1 million check for flood-affected victims. Unprecedented rainfall during the rainy season earlier this year led to the devastating floods in several regions in Guyana. One of the worst-hit regions was Region 10. Several villages within Linden experienced flood during the heavy rains, with losses to small-scale farmers and property damage. The severe losses experienced by the residents prompted Mayor Wanika Arundel and Deputy Mayor Wainwright Bethune to reach out to 6 US-based Guyanese organizations seeking support for the community. The 6 organizations were the Gift Foundation 592, Guyana Youth Development Association, Linden Dream Team, Caribbean American Family Fund Committee, Mackenzie High School Alumni Association, North American Chapter, and Linden Fund USA, worked collectively through a GoFundMe campaign, raising US $10,000 in donations. Cheryl White, office manager of LFU Guyana Incorporated and Guyana Fund USA, presented the $2.1 million check to the Mayor of Linden on behalf of the 6 organizations that spearheaded the GoFundMe campaign. Mayor Arundel said the funds would be used to prepare food hampers, cleaning supplies, and, where possible, infrastructure support to residents. Mr. Demani Corbin, board member of Linden Fund USA, said the opportunity to support the relief effort is one of which the diaspora organizations were proud to be a part. These organizations consider Region 10 home, and the opportunity to provide support to the fellow citizens of the region during this time is a continuation of work that some of the organizations have already been doing in the community. Don't go away after the break. Security concerns hamper Haiti earthquake relief efforts, and Chinese children to study Xi Jinping's political ideology. But before that, here's the Retraction schedule.
Problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome to Kissoon's Furniture. Find everything you need for your home and more under one roof in our newly decorated showroom. Our locally crafted furniture has been perfected over the last 60 years. From our hands to your home, we also bring to you our newly introduced lines of imported furniture and sleep center, where you can find a wide range of beds and mattresses. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 60 years.
For decades, milk has remained the same. Until now. Introducing the Great Dairy Full Cream Milk from Alabama Trading. Enriched with vitamins A to D and calcium to promote healthy teeth, strong bones, and vitality. Great Dairy Milk is delicious and fortified to encourage healthy cell growth within the body. No wonder it's the #1 brand of milk produced in Ireland. Now available nationwide in 400-gram packages at leading supermarkets and wholesale vendors. Distributed by Alabama Trading.
Survival Shopping Complex brings to you its delivery service, Shop through WhatsApp. This process is simple. All you need to do is call or message your grocery list to 613-9683 and we will select your items for you and have them delivered directly to you, even out of town. This is convenient because we can stay on the phone with you as we select your favorite brands. We're happy to do your shopping for you. Contact us on WhatsApp today and shop price smart at Survival Shopping Complex.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at news in the region and around the world. Security concerns are disrupting the flow of aid to earthquake-damaged areas of Haiti. Relief efforts are continuing nearly 2 weeks after the earthquake that killed more than 2,000 people. Al Jazeera's John Holman reports.
This is how earthquake aid is moving in Haiti. Convoys heading out from Port-au-Prince with a heavily armed police escort. They need it. Security is one of the biggest concerns here. Gangs have been running rampant for years, and Haiti's recent political turmoil has only made things worse. Travelling the only road to the disaster zone can feel like running a gauntlet, mostly because the aid agency trucks have to go through the Martissant neighbourhood, on the outskirts of Port-au-Prince. It's turned into a bloody battleground between two gangs.
About a month ago, the gangs here actually kicked the police out. You can see the bullet holes here in the police station.
Just a week ago, there's no way we could have been here. Kidnappings and killings were constant. But now that's changed, if only temporarily.
This is the stretch of road that the aid organisations have been especially worried about here in the district of Martissant. But there's something new here. Our producer, Jeremy Dupont, actually went to speak to one of the gang leaders who confirmed to him that they have made peace, the two groups fighting over this territory, and they're doing that to allow aid through. As you can see, the traffic is picking up again in a way that it hasn't done for months.
Who knows how reliable or long-lasting that peace will be, but it's not just those two gangs making positive noises. The leader of a major coalition of armed groups, the G9, has hailed their truce and also called for others to give help.
We know actually that the victims need water, need food, that they need sanitary kits. Do your best to help. Your help will be very appreciated. What we want is to help our brothers and sisters that are in a very difficult situation after the earthquake. That's why we say better to give little than nothing.
But that doesn't mean all is now safe for aid organisations. Tim Callaghan, who leads the USA Disaster Response Team, says it's the last mile distribution in the earthquake zone itself which is tough.
If you show up with a truck full of food and you don't have a plan, you haven't coordinated that with the local authorities or the Haitian National Police, you can see some things. It may, where people will surround the truck, because again, what I've seen so far is that most people just want help. They want it quickly.
In the last week, aid trucks have been ransacked and looted. Aid workers say the situation can be chaotic and dangerous on the ground. But in rough, makeshift camps across the affected area, there's still great need.
We are here with our children, but we need to feed them. We need food and water. We need medication. And now we use this place as a shelter. So we need to feed our children ourselves.
With more than 130,000 families depending on the help that international organisations and the government can bring, it's a critical point for the earthquake relief effort. John Holman, Al Jazeera, Port-au-Prince.
Internationally, primary and secondary school students in China will soon be learning about President Xi Jinping's political ideology in class. The goal is to encourage loyalty to the Chinese Communist Party and its leader. Al Jazeera's Katrina Yu reports.
As Chinese President Xi Jinping tours the country's north, speaking about the importance of preserving relics of the past, officials in Beijing were announcing changes to ensure loyalty to him and the Chinese Communist Party in the future. The political ideology of Xi Jinping, known as Xi Thought, will soon be introduced in school curriculum and be taught to children as young as 6 years old.
The younger generations
thinks in a way somewhat different from the older generations, it becomes even more important for Xi Jinping and the Communist Party to reach out to them and to make sure that they think the right thoughts. And therefore, making Xi Jinping thoughts part of the regular school curriculum will catch them when they are very young and impressionable.
China's Ministry of Education says primary school children will be taught to love their country and the Chinese communist system. High school children will be taught party history and be encouraged to think in line with its political values. Central to these lessons will be the importance of Xi Jinping and unwavering trust in his leadership. The president has made so-called patriotic education a priority. The government banned the use of foreign textbooks in schools earlier this month.
Our young people should make it their mission to contribute to national rejuvenation and aspire to become more proud, confident, and assured in their identity as Chinese people.
Xi thought was first enshrined in China's constitution in 2017. Xi is the first leader since Mao Zedong to have his theories elevated and taught while in power. So what is Xi thought? Well, according to the government, it means building a strong China, which leads the international stage. It's the elimination of poverty and the promotion of green values, and an uncompromising approach to national security. But most importantly, it's the belief in the Chinese Communist Party as the only force capable of uniting the country. Studying Xi's ideology is already compulsory for university students, China's 19 million Communist Party members, and increasingly, leaders in the private sector. But as the world becomes more globalized and the exchange of ideas more free, the Chinese government hopes these changes to its education system will encourage young people to turn inwards for guidance and not to the West or elsewhere. Katrina Yu, Al Jazeera, Beijing.
And finally, US President Joe Biden has described the service personnel killed in the attacks at Kabul airport as heroes. He promised that those responsible for their deaths will pay. Al Jazeera's Kimberly Harkett reports.
I bear responsibility for fundamentally all that's happened.
Commander-in-Chief of the U.S. military, Joe Biden, holding a moment of silence for the Americans killed in Thursday's bombings in Kabul, the deadliest day for the U.S. military in more than a decade. But despite the deaths, Biden says the evacuation and the withdrawal will continue until August 31st.
We will not be deterred by terrorists. We will not let them stop our mission. We will continue the evacuation.
This despite at least 13 U.S. service members killed on Thursday and at least 18 more injured. Dozens of Afghan civilians have also been killed or hurt by the blasts outside the Kabul airport, at its Abbey Gate, and the nearby Baron Hotel. The U.S. is blaming the group ISIL-K, a rival of the Taliban, for the attacks.
We thought this would happen sooner or later. It's tragic that it happened today.
The U.S. says its mission to evacuate all those wishing to leave Afghanistan will not change. The president says the United States will retaliate against those responsible for Thursday's blasts.
We will not forgive. We will not forget. We will hunt you down and make you pay.
But some Republican members of Congress are outraged and are calling for Biden's resignation. They're furious by reports U.S. officials allegedly gave the Taliban the names of Americans and Afghan allies permitted to enter Kabul's airport perimeter. The move was designed to speed up the evacuation, but critics accuse officials of generating a kill list for America's enemies. Former Navy SEAL Republican Congressman Dan Crenshaw wrote on Twitter, "If true, this qualifies as borderline treason. We need to find out who's responsible for giving the Taliban a hit list, and they need to go to prison." Biden's not denying such a list may exist, but also did not confirm. Some Republicans and Democrats argue the Taliban cannot be trusted with America's security. They blame Biden for the crisis, but Biden insists, well, the Taliban is not America's friend.
It's in their self-interest that We leave when we said.
Once U.S. troops have withdrawn, President Biden says that the United States will still have the ability to evacuate anyone left behind. But his orders remain unchanged. The military will depart on August 31st. Kimberly Helkin, Al Jazeera, the White House.
And that is it for today's regional and international news. Here now is your 3-day weather forecast. And that is all for this edition of Channel 2 Headline News Updates. Tune in on Monday at 7 p.m. for another episode. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Until then, stay safe and take care.